Morning. Wherever you would call. Good morning. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith would be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Good morning. Good morning, Vanessa. Good morning. Trust is without borders, and we walk upon. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith would be made strong. Come on in this morning. Invite somebody in this to the stream. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you go. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Good morning. Good morning. It is nice to see those of you that have joined me this morning. Good morning, Overseer. It is nice to see you. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me jump into my group and make sure I can say hello to those of you that have joined me from the Books to Business and Beyond group. And let me just say hello to Cheryl. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Lisa Marie. Nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining and watching me this morning. Esconda said, good morning, Joan. I'm listening to your broadcast while waiting for my flight in my home city, New Orleans. All right. I hope you have a safe trip home, Esconda. Thank you so much for being here with me this morning and for listening. If you're joining me for the first time or just happen to see this broadcast as you're scrolling through Facebook or groups or YouTube, my name is Joan T. Randall. I'm a speaker, author, independent publisher, but most importantly, I am a servant of God. And I will be here with you for the 31 days of July. Well, today is day 7. So I'll be here for the next 20 something days with you, just giving you some motivation and inspiration in the morning. I started Jesus, Joan, and Journal in 2020. Prior to that, I would just do Monday morning motivation. Monday morning motivation started in 2018 is when I first started Monday morning motivation. And I would just come on every Monday morning and just do some type of devotion. And here we are, 2022. That is almost 4 years ago since I've been doing this. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 5 years since I have been doing some type of devotion on some kind of mornings. But I started Jesus, Joan, and Journal 2020 January because I just wanted to set the stage for the year. And it was such a huge hit. There were so many people that got breakthrough and changed their lives and things happened in their lives that I decided to do it last year, 2021. And I decided to do it again this year, 2022. But I did not only do it in January of this year, I also wanted to do it this time of the year in July, based on all the things that's going on. I just wanted to come in and give you some inspiration and motivation. More importantly than giving you that is giving you some of what I have learned as I am growing in God and growing in business. I wanted to share that. And to whom much is given, much is required. And this is a way for me to give back to those that are willing to hear it, accept it, and use it for a purpose that will enhance and impact their lives. So that's the whole premise of Jesus, Joan, and Journal. This month, or for this period, I wanted to start it off with understanding your seasons and knowing your seasons. Good morning, Minister Hope. And so I started with the first 4 days talking about the natural season versus the spiritual season and what that meant. And I started with winter because I felt like winter is a time where everything is just so hard and cold and desolate. I had a choice. I could have started with spring, but I wanted to start with the toughest time because I think we sometimes experience a slower pace or difficulties before the harvest comes in, right? And so it was important for me to start at the winter months. And I also think it's the first half of the year. So, what better way to start than with winter? And then explaining spring, winter, and the harvest. And then now I want to take you through one more. And the premise of one more is how can you give yourself one more of everything, one more try, one more identity, one more, courage, one more. Listen, I have a whole list of one mores for you. Let me go find it. One more goal, one more dream, one more vision, one more value, one more time, one more prayer, one more try. So I'm going to try and break those up across the next 20 something days that we will be here together. First of all, let me say today's July 7th. If anybody's having a birthday, happy birthday to you. I have a birthday that's coming up on the 23rd. I can subtract and add this morning, so that I don't know how many days away I am from my birthday, but in another 3 weeks or so, or 2 weeks or so, I will have a birthday. This morning, I want to start with confidence versus identity. That is what our topic will be this morning. We have been talking about identity for the last 2 days, and we talked about identity being formed by people that are in our lives that gave us our identity based on the words that they say to us, right? And so we wear these identities as if it is our own, as if it is the identity that God gives us. Now, some of us may not have ever experienced this, right? Some of us may never have experienced a lack of identity or knowing who you are, where you are, why you feel the way you feel. And so if this doesn't apply to you, then I completely understand. But I think there's a lot of people out there that experience this identity shift, right? Because you were told one thing. And so often you grow up, right, and become an adult and still remembering or carrying the weight of some things that were said to you that were negative, that impacted your life as you become an adult. And so the last 2 days, if you have not watched, I would suggest that you go back and watch day 5 and day 6. But today, day 7, I want to talk about confidence versus identity, because is there a difference with self-confidence versus your identity? I think there is. And unless you understand the difference, the similarities, or, whether or not they're equal, then you may mistake self-confidence for identity. And I'm going to show you why sometimes they are different. They could be one and the same, and they're different. So when I think about confidence, the words that come to me, are, fully trusting and believing in the power and the trustworthiness and reliability of oneself, right? That is confidence. And identity, as I've said a couple of days before, the state or fact of being, the condition of oneself, right? and not somebody else. So knowing who you are, that is considered your identity. But confidence is this thing that you have, this trust, this belief in yourself and your powers and your trustworthiness and your reliability on yourself. All right. So here is where it is important to understand them, because identity is what you believe you are worth. What you believe you are worth and who you believe you are. Self confidence or confidence is the means to deliver on that. So there's some people that believe that they are not worthy of accomplishments. And there's some people that believe they're not worthy of the things they own or the things they do or the greatness that is within them. And there's this word or this phrase that's being thrown around all the time that I particularly do not like, because it tells that people struggle with who they are and what they're putting out. And this is this whole imposter syndrome, right? Feel as if who you are portraying yourself to be is not truly who you are. And probably you feel that you are afraid to be found out that you are a fraud. And that can only come from a either a lack of self-confidence or a lack of understanding of who you truly are. But I want to share with you this morning and tell you this morning that you are worthy of everything that you have. Everything that's deep down inside of you that you produces, that you accomplish, you are worthy of it all. So don't let this whole imposter thing sidetrack you from being your greatest self. And when you think about what your accomplishments are, that was one of the homework that I gave a couple of days ago. When you think about who am I? Who do people say I am versus who do I say I am? Is there a difference? And which one do you believe? So if people are telling you who you are, but it's not resonating with you, then you have to do some digging deep and truly find out who you are under the surface. Because this imposter syndrome affects a lot of people. The opposite of self confidence is self sabotage. And it is easy for self sabotage to delay you. It is very easy. Or self sabotage will show up in a way that it prevents you from getting to your next level, because you wrestle with yourself. You're wrestling with who you are versus who you think you are. There is this fight internal. There's this internal struggle that is called an identity deficit. You don't want to be in an identity deficit because you're struggling to understand, is this really me, or am I really an imposter and posing as someone other than myself? And sometimes that needs psychological help, right? Sometimes people get into a position where trauma and things that happen in their life, you know, makes these things happen to them, right? So I'm not denouncing that it may not be a psychological issue or a mental health issue. And if someone is experienced that, they really need to speak to someone so that they can understand and get healed and get better, right? I'm talking about the person who thinks that they are not deserving, or they don't see themselves as being able to carry out all the visions that they have. There are people that know that God gave them this vision to do extraordinary things, but they don't know if they have the capacity or the know-how to walk it out. There's some people that are even afraid of getting the knowledge or seeking the knowledge because they don't know if they have the capacity to learn it. It looks too overwhelming. I don't know if I can grasp it. I'm not sure that I am capable of learning this. And because I don't think I can learn it, I think it's over my head, there is a tendency to pull back and not follow through. I'll give you an example. Vanessa, I love this. Vanessa says imposter syndrome is a big bully. Oh my God, that is so true. I recently did a consultation with a young, well, a brother and a sister. They wanted to give their mother a gift of helping her to write her book. She has written several books, but all of the books that she has written, she just write it and put it in a journal and is done, right? She's a teacher for 40 something years. She's retiring. Most of her books that she wrote are children's book, and it follows these two animals, right? And it's a series, and she's had tons, like 70 different stories of these two animals that she writes, right? Story 1, story 2, story 3, story 4. And her kids wanted to give her the gift of getting her books published. They just wanted to start with one and then they would carry on. So when they met with me, I explained the whole process to them. 70 books is a lot of books, right? But we could do a series of books, maybe 5 or 7 books. So one, my recommendation was to try and get similar stories together and follow, so book 1 could be a combination of stories about these two animals. And then you have, volume 2, volume 3, and do it in a 7-volume book. All right. So while she was there, and well, so we did that. They said yes, they got the money, they came together. Now they wanted their mom to have a consultation with me because they can't publish her books without her knowing, right? Because it's going to be her book. So they broke the news to her. She was so excited. She got on the phone with me and we were talking, and I'm giving her all of the recommendations for how to write her book, and the fact that she need to name the animals, because she can't just say a dog and a cat, right? She has to give them names. That's a part of the process of writing, right? When you give them name, you now give them an identity. And so she was a little uncomfortable even with that. Even with me saying you've got to give them a name, because if you're going to do a series, you've got to identify these two friends that are unlikely friends. And so giving them a name gives them an identity through the whole series of this book. But lo and behold, we started talking about some of the things that she would need to do as the author. One of those things is to promote the book, which means going on live, Facebook Live, or social media to talk about the upcoming books, reaching out to the schools to see if they'll carry the books, reaching out to libraries, going into her email. And the minute I started talking about the marketing, she completely shuts down. Completely shuts down. All of the light that was in her eyes disappeared. Her whole demeanor changed. She said, "Do you mean I have to go and market the book?" Yeah. It's like the person was speaking to disappeared, right? The fear of thinking that she has got to do something that she's uncomfortable with was what got her so flustered. The fact that she may have to do a Facebook Live, I could tell that it was not in her wheelhouse. She struggled getting on the Zoom, so she was flustered even on the Zoom from just figuring out technology. And so here this lady, probably, if I could guess her age, maybe in her 70s. And now we're telling her that she's going to have to promote her books that she wrote. And you could see the fear of understanding that part of it, the technology side, completely took all of the light that were in her eyes, or the light that was in her eyes. So sometimes we have these incredible things inside of us, these gifts that God give to us, because that series that she was going to write, I mean, that could be carried in libraries, in schools, in daycares, in big brothers and sisters, because it's just adventures with these two friends. But because there is one element that she may have to do that she is not comfortable with because she's not experienced with it and she may have to learn it, kind of stopped her in her tracks. And she said to me, "Well, maybe I just continue to write them and just go to the printer and print them so my friends can buy them." So the whole publishing thing, she was almost like pushing it off the table. And then I said to her, if it's not published, there's no record. If it's published, there's a record in the Library of Congress that says that you're a published author. That is a legacy. If you just go to a printer and print these things and staple them or bound them and sell them to your friends, that's not a published author. And so think about ourselves. Are we being delayed, denied by our own selves because of a mountain that we think we cannot climb, or a mountain we think that we cannot get around, or a mountain that we think that we cannot get through because we don't have the capacity to learn, to understand, to chart in or through so that we can be all that God created us to be? How many of us have stories inside of us that will be the breakthrough for hundreds of people's lives? But because we think that we cannot write, we're not writers, we don't even attempt to write the story. Because the big mountain is sitting in front of us and we don't have the faith to tackle it. We don't have the faith enough to tell the mountain to move. That is self-sabotage. And that is the difference between self-confidence and identity. You can know who you are all day long. But if you don't have the confidence to deliver on the identity of who God created you to be, then you're not operating at your full alignment with God. And therein lies, for some people, this whole imposter syndrome. Cheryl says, good morning, Selena. Cheryl says, sometimes we sabotage ourselves and won't move beyond our comfort zone. Yeah. We tell ourselves we can't do it. And I know it played out right in front of my eyes with this lady. Now, can a 70-something-year-old learn how to do Facebook Live? Absolutely. Yes. It's just a matter of having, she's an educator for years. Somebody just have to pick up the phone and say, go to your Facebook, hit this button that says live and just talk. That is it. But the anxiety came because she's not comfortable with it. And so she would rather probably not even publish the book because she doesn't want to learn that thing or do that one thing. How many of us are sitting right now with opportunities that are waiting on us to move? How many of us are asking God to open up the doors, and the door is right in front of you, just have to stretch your hand out? How many of us are waiting on our abundance, but the abundance is right there, but because we're uncomfortable to make that move or to make that phone call or to read that thing or to learn that thing or to ask that question or to dig deep or to take a look in the mirror at ourselves and learn something more and peel away the layers, we can't get to the abundance that's right in front of us. So we are asking God to help us, and God say, I already did. God, when will you deliver me? I already did. God, when will you send me this thing? I already did. God, why can't I move? I already showed you the way. Good morning, Sandy. So think about that. All right. I want to remind you to go back and assess. Am I deserving? Yes, you are. Can you do it? Yes, you are. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I spent 25 years in corporate America, working my way up the corporate ladder. I started as a part-time associate. Then I became a full-time associate. Then I became a supervisor. Then I became a manager because that level was different. Then I became a senior manager. Then I became a regional director. Then I became a regional something else. And then I became a vice president. Same company, 25 years. Started my first paycheck. They paid me $7.25 an hour. And when I left there, I was making high six-figure salary. When I left that company, I was 52 years old. Excuse me. I was 52 years old. And I made a decision that I wanted to go into entrepreneurship because I knew that God had given me something that was bigger than me that I needed to share with the world. And my 25-year in corporate America was not what I was supposed to use to share that gift. However, my 25 years in corporate America gave me skill sets and training and confidence in what I did. So those things were gifts to me as well. Because when you start a career at the bottom and climb all the way up the 100-step ladder and now sit at the top with hundreds of people reporting to you, and you have an operations director, an HR director, a loss prevention director, and all these people reporting to you, that means you'll learn a thing or two coming up the ladder. So I got those gifts and those skill sets from that company. However, going into my own business was a whole different mountain. And within the first year, I recognized that there's a mountain in front of me that I don't know how to go over, go around, or go under. It's staring dead in my face. And did I make the right decision to go into entrepreneurship at 52? I had no idea what a landing page was. Real talk. I had no idea how to create a landing page. I had no idea what a lead magnet meant. I had no idea what a lead generation was. I had no idea what a compelling offer meant. I had no idea how to take what I know and create a course and put it online for anybody to learn. I had no idea. At 52, I felt like I just decided to make the biggest mistake of my life, because now there's a 1,000-pound gorilla standing in front of me, and I don't know how to tell people that I do not know what I'm doing. But I knew I had to, because if I knew that God had put all of these things inside of me that he had given to me that I needed to give to the world. And so it was there. However, it was up to me to take the action, to hone the skills and learn the skills. And I made a decision to do that. Oh my God, Lexi said she remembered. She remembered. I remember, and Lexi was a part, I joined a mastermind, just to tell you how much I yearned to learn. There was a yearning to learn. Why? Because I knew that there was something in me that God needed me to give to people. And the only way to give it to them was to break that mountain that was standing in front of me down. And for me to break the mountain, I had to move it out of my way. And I had to use faith to move it, because my natural me, Joan, on her own could have never done it. And I remember spending money to join this mastermind because I so wanted to understand what all of this meant. I knew I needed to push through. I knew I had to figure it out. And I'm thinking, this is a 52-year-old brain. Can a 52-year-old brain learn all of this stuff? I was placed in a mastermind with 6 other people, including Pastor Lexi, whose name is on the screen. And I felt like the most inadequate of all of them. because I was probably, no, I was the second oldest. So there was one older than me, and then there were the other five were younger. All of them like way younger than me. And I'm like, there is no way I could be in this group with these amazing women who are educated. Remember, I never finished college. So that gave me this fear also of feeling like I wasn't good enough or I wasn't like who they were. Right? So they're educated people, and have business owners and know a lot. And I remember our coach tell me about a landing page, and Lexi was there. We had a call. We used to have a call every day, 5 days a week, every morning, a 10-minute call or 15-minute call. And I remember wanting to do something, and they said, Joan, create a landing page. I had no idea what a landing page was. I cried. Lexi remembered. I cried because I'm like, I don't know what a landing page is. It's 6 years later, y'all. Whew, 6 years later. Angela Hope can attest to this too. 6 years later. Not only did I, not only can I make my own landing page, I can build my own website if I choose to. I just have people that do it for me now. I know what a lead magnet is. I teach people how to create their lead magnet. I know what a compelling offer is because I do it all the time. I know how to create courses. Currently, I have 2 courses on a Nehemiah platform that is translated in 4 different languages: English, French, Mandarin, and Spanish. And it's my course that sits on a global platform that anybody across the world can take that course. Because I was willing, through faith, to break the mountain down. The Bible says, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move, and the mountain move. My mountain was understanding entrepreneurship at 52 years old. That was my mountain. I could have stayed in my comfort zone and crumbled because I was afraid to learn the technology. I was afraid to learn what all of this stuff was. I was afraid of the things that I know had to assume and learn to run a business. Technology. I didn't know anything about business taxes. I didn't know anything about anything business related. But baby, today you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Now I run a 6-figure business as an entrepreneur and can teach people how to do the same thing. So when you have faith and you have that confidence, and as I said before, my identity was rooted from how I was raised, with the love I got from my parents. So I never struggled with my identity. And so I never had an imposter syndrome any time in my life. But I knew I had to put the work in order to deliver what God gave me, because God gave me the abundance. I just had to do the work to make it happen. And it took years. It took years. It wasn't overnight, but I never stopped. I kept plugging away. I never stopped. I kept going. I never stopped. I kept going. I kept learning. I kept putting myself in masterminds. I kept putting myself with coaches. I kept putting myself in groups. I kept surrounding myself with the right connections, with the Lexi Joneses of the world, with the D. Edwards, with the Danita Scott, with the Lisa Renee Johnson, with the Rhonda White, with the Erica Etienne. I surrounded myself with people that were smarter than me so I could learn from them. so I could learn from them. Angela said, you ask us what are some of the things we have accomplished. When I began to think about it, I realized how God has gifted me with so much to be a blessing to many. To list a few, I became the first Black woman in leadership at a law firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. Check that out. And I was the first trainer for a large church in Charlotte, North Carolina through Charlotte Works, a program for adults to gain training and skills for employment. I went back to school for my high school diploma after dropping out of the 12th grade. Listen, you can do it all. Don't let age stop you, just like that lady froze when I told her she may have to do a Facebook Live. Angela said, what an amazing testimony. Yeah, thank you, Angela. Thank you. Angela said, I remember to Pastor Lexi, but our sister pushed through. I pushed all the way through. Cheryl says, somebody says, I don't know who says faith is the force that moves mountains. Absolutely. I push all the way through. Lexi says, yes, now you're the queen of them. And I was 52 years old. I wasn't even 52. I think I was 53 when I learned to do the first landing page. And guess what? That day when I cried, I still couldn't do it. Rhonda White did the landing page for me. Rhonda White. And my first course that I wanted to put online, my first lead magnet, I had no clue how to do the lead magnet. Danita did my lead magnet for me. But I watched her and I learned. I watched Rhonda and I learned. And here I am today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Your faith has made a way for you. Absolutely. Good morning, my sister, the D.I in the building. Yes. So all I'm saying is that self-confidence, knowing with faith, learning at any age, sis, learning at any age you can learn. So don't ever let your mountain be the lack of thinking or the belief that you cannot do something because you're older or more matured. Don't let that happen. Don't let yourself or deny yourself the gift that God has given to you that will lead to your abundance because you think that you don't have the capacity to learn at a later age. That may be your mountain. So check to make sure that is not the mountain that you need to move out of the way to get to where you're going to get to. You are equipped. You're qualified. You're selected. You're significant. You are supplied. And I want to read 2 scriptures for you today. And this is where I'm going to leave it with you. And you know, my pastor is on and Pastor Lexi Jones is on as well. My favorite book in the Bible is Genesis. You guys know that. In January, when I did Jesus, Joan, and Journal, we showed you the whole of Genesis, the 6 days that God created the earth, and how much it was the blueprint for business. How you take day one and create a business plan exactly like creation, right? And so I spent most of that month in the book of Genesis and Exodus. Today, Donna said, training and development is my jam. Yep. And the DI works for a law firm, and this lady is training people in these law streets out here, right? Training people in these law streets out here, and is dominating her field, and is also an entrepreneur. And I'm going to get Donna on one morning because I want Donna to share with you how to go to God When you have a business and you know that this business is owned by God and you're the operating CEO, how do you make a prayer board meeting with God and put every plan of action to Him, because it's His business, before you do it with anybody else? So Donna, we got to talk about which day you can come on. Yes. Yep. You're significant, you're selected, you're supplied. Those words started your transformation. And this is Angela Mitchell. I remember when I said that in January 2020, when I said, you're selected, you're significant, and you're supplied. And she has never let this go. You are. And so here is my favorite script, one of my favorite scripture in the Bible. And today I have my parallel Bible. Listen, this is a great Bible. I know it's big and it's heavy, but I love it because it shows you 4 different versions of the Bible. But today I want to read Genesis 1:26 through 28 from the Amplified Version. And it says, God says, let us, Father and Son and Holy Spirit, make mankind in our image, after our likeness, and let them have complete authority over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the beast, and over all the earth, and over everything that creeps upon the earth. You can also find that in Hebrews and Psalms as well, right? So God created man in His own image. In the image and likeness of God, He created him, male and female. He created them. Verse 28, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it, using all its vast resources in the service of God and man, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, the bird of the air, and over every living creature that moves upon the earth. So you got dominion and you got the authority, and you were created like God in His image. So if you're created in His image and you have His D, which is dominion, and you have A, the authority, you have the D and the A. Now let me show you the N, because I want to show you that you have God's DNA. He created you just like Him. He gave you dominion. He gave you authority. Let me show you that He gave you His name as well. You were His, named after Him, before your mama called you Donna or Lexi or Juanita or Angela or Joan. He gave you His name. And so I'm turning to 1 John 3 and verse 1. And it says, see what an incredible quality of love the Father has bestowed up on us, that He should be permitted to be named and called and counted the children of God. And so we are. He gave us His name. So we are the children of God. That's our name. So if I have dominion, which He showed me, right? Several places in the Bible. I have His name and I have the authority. I got His DNA. So then why should I allow imposter syndrome to define what I can and cannot do? That alone should give you the confidence and the self-confidence and the identity. So self-confidence and identity is what you have to have in order to walk out every gift, talent, ability, treasures, lived experience so that you can impact lives. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can stay right at your corporate job and impact lives with your story. You can serve and impact lives. You can speak and impact lives. You can help and impact lives. You can be an admin person and impact lives. Because all of us came with something, and the something that we came with is to help others. Is to help others. So I'm going to leave this here with you this morning, right? And this is the end of our identity, right? Knowing that you have God's DNA and you were created in his image should never let you question your identity. Never wear the identity that someone gave you when you were a child that says you won't be anything, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. Take the cloak off. Take that identity cloak that was given to you by someone else other than yourself and God. Throw it away. It's not yours. Stop wearing that identity and wear the identity that God gave you. Stop thinking that things are too big or complicated or out of your reach. You just have to dig deep and make it happen. I told you I learned to do a landing page at 53 years old. I had no idea what a lead magnet was. But I surrounded myself, the connections, the associations, the people I surrounded myself with were eagles. They knew more than me. They were better than me in terms of knowledge and wisdom. And I gleaned from them and then get my own. So I'm always in some kind of thing, learning some kind of thing. And I never say no to the opportunities that God say, go do that. So I'm going to leave you this morning with a Psalms. You know, I love Psalms. I love everything about David. I love that he messed up, but he had a heart for God, right? Just like us, we all mess up, right? And I want to go to Psalms 1. Love Psalms 1. And this time I'm going to read from my favorite version, because I learned this as a child. So Psalms 1, King James Version is what I'm going to read. And this is how I'm going to leave it with you this morning. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth at the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of waters, that bringeth forth fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so. They are like a chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sitteth in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. And that is what I'm leaving you with this morning. May God bless you. May God keep you. I'll see you here tomorrow morning again. We're going to talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about serving one more serve. One more serve. is what we're going to talk about tomorrow, right? And so that's it for Jesus, Joan, and Journal. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming and talking. I love that Donna said, we all have gifts. We must embrace our unique gifts and not compare ourselves to anyone else. Absolutely. We're all uniquely made. My friend Didi, I said, my God, you're awesome, sis. I love you, sister. You know, I'm a fan of yours, girl. We've been around the block for so many years, and thank you for jumping on this morning. I know you are busy. Angela Hope said, wow, take the cloak off. Now that will, take off the cloak of what people give you. Tremont, don't. Man, I'm about to talk my Jamaican potwa just now. Take off the cloak. Don't let nobody give you no cloak to wear. It ain't yours. It ain't you. God didn't give you no identity, imposter, nothing. Throw that out the window. All right. Bye, guys. Love you. See you tomorrow. Take care.